If you haven't followed what has been happening with New York Mayor Eric Adams, he was facing corruption charges from the DOJ. And after this, he started saying positive things about Donald Trump. Now, unsurprisingly, I think to everyone, Donald Trump's DOJ then moved to dismiss Eric Adams' corruption charges. It took a little extra time because multiple people resigned instead of attaching their name to dismissing the case. 4 top New York officials quickly resigned after the corruption charges were dropped, and there's a lot more I could go into, such as the Trump administration taking funds from a New York bank account, and all sorts of things people are calling quid pro quo. But the governor of New York is now in the news because she is planning to meet with elected leaders and clergymen about a path forward, which could include removing Eric Adams as mayor of New York. 2 people reportedly not invited are Mayor Eric Adams or public advocate, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Wamaine Williams, who would take over as acting mayor if Eric Adams was removed. And the New York mayor has also released a statement to the public, which I have behind me and I will read to you. Since taking office in 2021, I've done everything possible to partner with the city of New York under the leadership of 2 different mayors. We've worked together to fight crime on the streets and subways, close illegal cannabis shops, and build more housing through City of Yes. Bickering between state and city officials is a waste of time, and I refuse to go back to the days where our constituents are caught in the crossfire of political turf wars. Earlier today, they spoke with the first deputy mayor to express my gratitude of her years of service to New York City, alongside with the deputy mayors. So they're talking to the first deputy mayor and the other deputy mayors. They've been strong partners with my administration across dozens of key issues. If they feel unable to serve in City Hall at this time, that raises serious questions about the long-term future of this mayoral administration. I recognize the immense responsibility I hold as governor and the constitutional powers granted to this office. In the 235 years of New York state history, these powers have never been utilized to remove a duly elected mayor. Overturning the will of the voters is a serious step that should not be taken lightly. That said, the alleged conduct at City Hall that has been reported over the past 2 weeks is troubling and cannot be ignored. Tomorrow, I have asked key leaders to meet me at my Manhattan office for a conversation about the path forward with the goal of ensuring the stability for the city of New York. Let me be clear. My most urgent concern is the well-being of my 8.3 million constituents who live in New York City. I will be monitoring the situation extraordinarily close to ensure that New Yorkers are not being shortchanged by the current crisis in city government. So, as you can imagine, this actually has caused quite a big split from what I've seen, with a lot of people, especially, the people of New York City, wanting him removed. But also, there's quite a few Republicans. This Mayor Adams is not a Republican yet. They want him removed as well because that is a Democrat removed, and maybe if there's a special election, they'd win. Maybe this would pave the way to a Republican running New York City. I have my doubts, but that is a thought. Others are saying that while the governor appears to have this power, they shouldn't do something that previous administrations haven't done, and they believe that Eric Adams should stay in power, essentially unchecked power, because he now has the protection federally of Donald Trump. And this is where things get rather interesting, because there are a lot of ways this can go. Because remember, the DOJ is dismissing charges, but do you really think that if he's guilty of those corruption charges, if he would have been found guilty, do you not think that the state would be able to find charges to put against him? It would honestly be cleaner and for all involved to remove him as mayor. And Trump cannot pardon state-level charges. If it looks like there's going to be an investigation rather than a removal, I would not be shocked if Eric Adams not only resigns, but immediately tries to take up some position in the Trump administration as a defense measure. A lot of the people that are there to defend Eric Adams right now on social media are defending him because they hate New York City. And they'll openly say that. They openly believe that him essentially being a puppet to Trump, is what they view him as, would be good, because then Trump can get his way with the city of New York, and that would be better for everyone. But the mayor is not supposed to be a puppet of the president. But we'll have to see how this unfolds. It's ongoing. As you see here, Tuesday, I don't know when I'll release this video. If it's on a Tuesday, it's on the Tuesday. Tuesday is the day that this is going to be discussed. As far as I can know, Eric Adams hasn't replied to this, and it makes sense they wouldn't have his acting mayor replacement be there to remove the appearance of bias. And the fact, in my opinion, the fact that the person who would take over if Eric Adams was removed isn't going to be there makes me think that they are very seriously considering this removal. But what's interesting, what's funny to me, is a lot of people are stuck up on this fact that in the 235 years of New York State history, these powers have never been utilized. Well, you see, that was kind of a thing a lot in America, that powers that weren't used a certain way, or there was a certain decorum about how you go about things, even though they weren't directly written into law, that was a thing. A thing that has been crushed, shredded, and destroyed by the Trump administration. Hell, they're going around Congress and saying that Congress, who passes laws and passes budgets and passes spending and decides all these things, that no, Elon Musk now decides how the country's money is spent. So I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of unprecedented actions coming from the left, because it's kind of what happens when the other side does theirs. If that makes sense. Someone has already opened that can of worms, and here we are. And it's going to just get messier with time.